Hi guys, after a long hiatus, I'd like to welcome you all back to the Obscure Review with me, the Ginger Geek. Sorry for the big time period where we weren't putting out anything, university projects and graduation got in the way, but now I'm all settled with work, so hopefully we'll be pumping out original new content from now on a regular basis, starting with a return to another one of those games you might have missed, Persona 4 Arena. Spinning off from the ever so popular Shin Megami Tensei Persona series, Persona 4 Arena is the first non-RPG entry into the franchise. It's a standard 2D fighter developed by Arc System Works of BlazBlue fame and Atlas. It's pretty typical 2D fighter fare, only instead of your Ryus and Kens, you have characters from the Persona universe, specifically Persona 3 and 4, such as Yu Narukami and Aegis. But don't worry, even if you aren't a fan of the RPG series, because this is one sweet little fighter. While it doesn't have the popularity of something like Street Fighter 4 or Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which seem to be the go-to 2D fighters for this generation, it is serious competition for those two titles in its level of quality. If you're even remotely a fan of the genre, I highly recommend picking it up, because while being a solid game anyway, it brings a series of innovations to the table that really rejuvenate the genre with a new life. Most instantly noticeable is the incredible animation. The characters in this game move so fluidly. I personally say it's probably the best looking fighter I've played, with Skullgirls being its only competition. Big special attacks are accordingly flashy, but never is the action too frenetic to follow, which is great because it would be a shame if the chaos overshadowed the slick animation. Mechanically, there's a lot to love. One of my personal favourite additions is the instant kill attacks. Unique to each character, these are massively over-the-top preset animations that, if connected, will instantly win the game. You would think that this would throw the entire balance of the game out of the window, but they can only be activated when the SP gauge that builds up as you compete is full, and only when the kill would result in overall win, which makes final rounds an intense experience, especially in multiplayer, as the two of you panickingly block and race to try and land your kill first. Other innovations include the ability to summon personas. Each character, just as in the RPG, has a persona to fight alongside them. These are big demon things, and their moves can be activated with a combination of base buttons and directional inputs, just the same as the standard moveset. However, if you time it correctly, you can make it so both your character and their persona attack in combos, or even at the same time, maximising damage. There's a nice risk-reward system at play. The personas are heavier hitters than the main cast, but if they are hit themselves, they'll lose one of the cards displayed below the health bar. Lose all four and the persona is rendered unusable for a short amount of time, severely limiting your moveset and stopping your ability to carry out specials. Add to this knockback techniques that can break opponents' combos and bounce into your own, and there's serious potential for mind games here. If I could make one complaint, however, it's that the game's perhaps a little bit too easy. I was grateful that a fleshed out tutorial was able to introduce me to an excellent combat system that was genuinely easy to learn but difficult to master, and after having completed it, I was excited to get into challenging fights that would test my skill. Now, I must confess at this point that I myself am by no means a 2D fighter expert, but I actually managed to breeze through the arcade and story modes with relatively little stress. Oh, and while on the subject of the story mode, I have to say, it kind of sucks. For a 2D fighter, the storyline of this game, which acts as a direct sequel to the RPG, is really fleshed out, but it basically just acts as an anchor, explaining why all these characters would be fighting. If you choose a character central to the plot while playing arcade, it all gets explained rather quickly in some neat little in-game cutscenes. But if you choose to go the story mode route, be prepared to read a lot. The story mode basically takes on the form of an incredibly long visual novel with absolutely minimal choices, punctuated by very brief fights. The background and character art is nice, but there's barely enough of it. Characters mostly just stick to the same portrait shot, and only their mouths move. Occasionally, you'll get a lovely anime cutscene, but these are few and far between, which is unfortunate, as I'd really like to have seen more of this, and less of this. The story segments themselves are just far too long as well. When the plot basically boils down to, these guys get sucked into a TV and have to fight, there's really no need for this much elaboration. There are times between fights where you will have to go 5 to 10 minutes through walls and walls of unimportant exposition and character dialogue just to get to the next scene. Of course, you can just stick with arcade mode, but since the story mode is there, you'll likely feel compelled to see it all through. One thing I will say in its favour though is that it's all fully voiced, which is a nice touch, but I can't see anyone enjoying this too much unless you're a massive fan of these characters and just crave to see them interact some more.
I hereby reinstate the investigation team in response to the Midnight Channel going back on the air last night.
Oh, the team is back!
Still, it is kinda nice that the visual novel light option is there if that's your thing, and overall it's an excellent package, with stunning fluid animation, a great and deeply complex combat system, and even a great soundtrack which delightfully comes free with most copies of the game. I can't recommend it enough. Even if you aren't a 2D fighting fan, this could be the game that changes your mind. However, what I will say is I've done this review a little bit later than I wanted, and that a sequel to the game is actually coming out in about a month. It adds some new characters, delivers a new story, and apparently rejigs some balancing issues, so you may just want to wait for that. But I'd honestly say if you can find this one cheap enough, give it a grab. Well, that's all for the return of the Obscure Review. We'll be back with another episode next Friday, so don't forget to like if you like this video, and give us a subscribe for some more spotlighting of the games you might have missed, as well as tons of other upcoming content. Also, please feel free to comment with any games you think might be worth us having a look at. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.